This story from Judges 11 is seen as a case where God did not sanction, but did permit, Jephthah to sacrifice his daughter. It is read as indicating that Jephthah made an oath, in which he promised to sacrifice the first thing that came out of his house, if only God would give him victory in war. But a close look at the story shows that the fate of Jephthah's daughter was a somewhat different one. In a nutshell, the language used in the story indicates that Jephthah's daughter was subjected to a very specific type of sacrifice, but not a human sacrifice. Let us consider a few things. In biblical culture, the oath made by Jephthah would have been made publicly, and he made it in his own hometown, Mizpah. Everyone would have known about it, including his own daughter. Now, if this is the case, why would she even come out of his house first? If she knew the first thing out of the house was going to be killed, why did she not stay as far away from the door as possible? In fact, why wouldn't the people inside the house make sure a goat was pushed through the door ahead of them? The answer is that the type of oath Jephthah promised was actually one, in which what, or whoever came out of his house first would be dedicated to a lifetime of service to God. The form of this vow is found in Leviticus 27.
But nothing that a person owns and devotes to the Lord, whether a human being or an animal or family land, may be sold or redeemed. Everything so devoted is most holy to the Lord.
It was a highly desirable sort of life, where the person would be spared the need to work the way most people of that time did. Out in the fields, sweating and straining to eke out an existence. No wonder she jumped at the chance. By the way, this is also why the story says that Jephthah's daughter remained a virgin for her whole life. Childbirth was considered one of the works done by women, as seen in Genesis 3:16. And the vow of Leviticus 27 meant any person who took it would be holy to the Lord, and not have to do work of any kind. They would be on a perpetual Sabbath. Some people may still not be satisfied. Okay. How about this verse?
Then the Spirit of the Lord came on Jephthah.
It is unlikely that the Spirit led him to make a vow at odds with God's law prohibiting human sacrifice. How about one more? Immediately following the statement about Jephthah fulfilling his vow, we are told that his daughter did not know a man. If she is dead, then this information is hardly relevant, so presumably it belongs to some broader issue in the narrative. This perception is strengthened by the extreme emphasis on virginity. 1. She asks that she and her friends be allowed to cry for her virginity, not her death for 2 months. 2. The request is granted and she and her friends do in fact cry for her virginity, not her death for 2 months. 3. When the vow is fulfilled we are told she never knew a man. A strange thing to say after recording the sacrifice of a virgin. Why is the emphasis on her remaining a virgin and not on her death? I believe that this suggests that she was not actually killed, and that she remained a virgin for the rest of her life. A skeptic could counter, and say then why was Jephthah sad? One clue would seem to lie in the earlier remark, when the text first introduced her.
When Jephthah returned to his home in Mizpah, who should come out to meet him but his daughter, dancing to the sound of timbrels? She was an only child. Except for her, he had neither son nor daughter.
To lose her would mean the end of any long-term family or dynastic intentions that Jephthah might have. Born to a woman who was outside the family framework, he would now be unable to pass on his rehabilitated status to another generation. The effect of his vow, however it might be carried out, would rob him of his future. Sacrifices can be used metaphorically in Scripture, as in Exodus chapter 29 verses 24 to 27, Leviticus chapter 8 verses 27 to 29, Psalm chapter 51:17, and Romans chapter 12:1. Therefore it is most likely that burnt offering is a metaphor and that Jephthah's daughter was offered in full-time service to Yahweh through perpetual virginity. This sort of devotion to God is not uncommon in Scripture, for example in Exodus chapter 38:8. 1 Samuel chapter 1:11 verses 22 to 28. 1 Samuel chapter 2:22. And 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verses 7 to 8.